Today, I hear. There you go. I hope that's me one day. A little fun fact for Advent to start. I always like to go fun facts, especially if you're somebody who, Advent has a lot of traditions in it. If you're somebody kind of new to church or faith or anything like that, like why do we do what we do? Because I was one of those. I still am one of those. I'm like, why are these candles this color? So I have to kind of look it up at times. But something about the Advent wreath, it's obviously in a circle, and the circle represents the infinite hope through Jesus and infinite love that God pours out from us. Rather than just put 4 candles on a table and light it, it's done on a wreath for that purpose. It's usually used by a holly wreath, the Christian myth or Christian tradition. And when we think about myth, it's one of those, like we can't confirm it, we don't really know, but we think that the thorns that Jesus had was from a holly bush. That's what was placed on his head. That kind of comes from the Christian tradition. And if you see this year, if you see Xmas instead of Christmas, no, nobody is taking Christ out of Christmas. It's okay. The Greek for CHRI is an X. And so it's been a tradition that's been held by the Orthodox for 500-600 years, and it just is a representation of Christmas. It's just the Greek. So that would be how it's kind of written out. So if you go to Orthodox churches, you may see, instead of Christmas written out, you would see Xmas. So just a little something to know. I always think those little fun facts are kind of interesting. And so I love Advent. I've grown to love Advent this time of year and get into the feeling of it. But I know it can be an overwhelming feeling, but it's not something I want to make for us here in the church. I want it to be celebratory. Like we're preparing ourselves for the birth of Jesus. Like I kind of pre-warned you, it's the birthday boy, right? The birthday month for Jesus. I wear a fun little shirt every week. I just try to get in the spirit of it and keep it joyful. That's one of the themes of the weeks. And I also got to ask, Harriman, was this your work down here? Because me and Julie were like, I think it goes to the music. Wait, what? See how? So you're going to be distracted. You're going to watch this now the whole time and not pay attention. I get it. I love it though, the little touch. I love it. Right, we're going to bring him up, and I love it. But this week, we are focused on this Advent theme is about words for the beginning, words around Advent. And we're talking about a blessing, about the fact that you are a blessing. I don't know how long it's been since you've heard that, but you are. You are a blessing. Each and every single one of you are a blessing. And you probably heard a lot through Thanksgiving time how grateful people are for you. I got that. I got it from a group of people that I haven't talked to in 3 years. I really don't know how you're grateful for me. I haven't talked to you in 3 years. But thank you. Maybe there was something in the past, but it's something I don't hear enough about. It only comes up at Thanksgiving. Well, wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to wait 3 years to hear that? Wouldn't it be nice if somebody once in a while told us how grateful they are for us or that we're a blessing? Like, I don't know why at times it's so hard for us to share nice things to each other. It's very easy for us to criticize, yes? Like, I can easily do that. But what do we hear more so? Like, you could tell me 10 nice things and 1 bad thing. What am I going to hear? Right. What do you hear? That's what we hear, right? And sometimes, it's not that criticisms and sometimes we need that. But sometimes if we're going to speak words, sometimes we got to just choke that down. Like, do I really need to say this? Like, I remember preaching at a service once, and the wife walked out. I was like, oh, I just love your sermons. This is so great. And the husband walked right behind. I don't like it. You're too long. Like, fantastic. And I know 2 weeks ago I was too long. I get it. Even though I was beating myself up over it, you guys were very kind about it. But that's what we focus on. We have got to get to this place of sharing good words to each other on the regular basis, affirm each other on the regular basis when we are just, even in just regular moments of life, just shooting that message, that text, that email, that phone call. We're not told that enough. And these kind of words need to be uttered to our children a lot. And I think sometimes we just don't feel that we're always a blessing or good enough or these things because we judge ourselves at times a little too harshly. We kind of base our judgment of ourselves on worldly ideas of where we think we should be in life compared to so-and-so. I was talking to a young person the other day who's in college, and they were sharing how, oh man, my friend's got this great internship, and I really don't know what I'm doing, and they just feel behind. Anybody felt that? I just feel behind. I'm not where I should be. Everybody else is. Listen, everybody's journey is different. It doesn't matter, but we judge ourselves by that. And then we feel like we're not good enough, or we're behind, or we're not successful enough. My bank account's not big enough. My job title is not glorious enough. My car isn't cool enough. My house isn't, all put together. Oh, heaven forbid somebody walks in. How many of you all spent way too much time cleaning for Thanksgiving? It's okay if there's something on the floor. It's all right. Nobody's walking around looking for that and judging. I hope not. If so, you may want to rethink that invite. God doesn't do that. That's one of the beauties, though. God does not judge us like we judge ourselves or like the world does, based on worldly ideas. God looks at things such as faithfulness and love and generosity and kindness. These are the things that store up treasures in heaven. They may not always get us treasures on earth, as we kind of talked about last week, but they store up our treasures in heaven. And as 1 Samuel 16:7 says, God looks at the heart, the inward appearance of a person, where humans look at the exterior. And we have to dig in sometimes with people to really see what they're made of. We look at the job title someone has and think, oh, right? I mean, how many times have you been introduced in your life? What's your name? My name's Chad. What do you do? I'm a minister. Oh my God, I know. Oh, I'm so sorry. I said a bad word earlier. I shouldn't have done. Like instantly somebody has me pegged. Instantly. The way I look, people think I'm a certain person. Why? Because I have tattoos and these, oh, he's a certain kind of individual. When I grew up, somebody had tattoos, you were either a criminal or in the military. There was no in-betweens. I'm neither of those. Harriman, are you either of those? No, you're not either of those either. No, okay. We're double checking, right? So today's world, that's just not how we are today. But by finding out what we do, it can tell somebody about who we are, but again, we got to dig in and dig deeper. We judge too much on the outside appearance. We judge by what someone has. What they have, it's a sign of blessing or significance. And part of that can be true. And we used to judge much harsher the clothes that people wear to church. Man, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I couldn't get away with this. 10 years ago, I remember when I first dressed like this, and the first time I put jeans on in church, as a clergy person. Whoa, did I hear about that one? And I doubled down every week because I'm going to break that habit because it's not important. Because what does it say to the person that can't put on the suit and tie? What does it say to the person who can't put on the nice dress because they don't have it? Like, you can only be welcomed through our doors if you have it together. Well, darn it all, some days I just don't. Some days we don't. Come as you are, we preach, but as you are with a suit on. As Henry Ford said, he made cars. You can have any color you want as long as it's black. Well, no, I want choice. I want to come as I am. I want to just live in this moment, have God work and transform and be around me. I want to be present. I don't have that. Can I still come? Yes. So I want to reflect that. So I'm so glad that churches have starting to move away from that. Though I did hear a minister recently say, there is no place for men to have beards in a church. Well, okay, So these are still, these little things. You can't have long hair, you can't have tattoos, and that by somehow having any of that doesn't make you a follower of Jesus. Well, I'm here to show you that ain't true. I don't think God cares about the outward appearance, about my hair length. But I also see some people talk about how blessed they are because of how much they have. I have a friend that he has done really well for himself. He is a top exec for Humana. Insurance companies do well. And he's got all the stuff, all the toys, the boats, the motorcycles, the cars. He has a camper that's a couple $100,000. I would be glad to have it as a house. It folds out, it's probably 1,600 square feet. It's ridiculous. And he always posts and always says how blessed I am. And I think that's okay. But it also makes me go, ugh. And I think there's a reason for that, because the tradition through Christianity is that blessedness looks like wealth. Blessedness looks like power. Blessedness looks like we have it all together. Blessedness looks like physical ability. Blessedness looks like we have no mental health issues, and none of that is true. Blessedness comes in different forms and sizes, and Mary's story kind of shows us this. That can be true for him, but also true in other ways. We can look at physical ability. If people are not completely healthy or someone has a disability, we think that there's something that needs to be fixed. There was this thought in biblical time, and even today, I heard a minister not long ago talk about the problem with their churches. They have too many handicap places. Obviously, we don't believe in God enough, because if we did, people wouldn't have disabilities. So we need to pray that away. Wonder why people don't want to go to church anymore. Right? Feel that? No, when you behave and think like that, you miss the blessedness that people bring to their spaces. This young man's name's Alex. He is one of the most significant people I have come across in my time of ministry in 14 years. He has cerebral palsy and some other things that makes, just everyday life a challenge for Alex. Can't communicate well. Things like that. But this dude loves Jesus like nobody I've come across. This dude has the biggest smile on his face every single day. And he was at a church I served. And he would come in throughout the week, and he's serving this food pantry and organize the shelves. He showed up on Sundays. He came up and spoke one time, and when he speaks, you can't understand him. But he wanted to say thanks to the church. It doesn't matter what he says, you can feel it from him, right? You ever feel like love transcends languages? Do you have a pet? A dog, a cat? Have you ever had a conversation with him? No, you haven't, but you love that little creature. All right, just the physical feeling, the presence of somebody, Alex is blessed. It's been hard on his family, hard on him. But man, if I had a church of Alexes, we'd be praising. We'd be praising this dude. Like, if I only looked at his physical ability and thought, nope, God must have it out for him, I would miss the beauty of the soul of this individual. That's for too long where we've got it wrong. God shows up through Alex. He shows up through many of you all. Sometimes we beat ourselves up. We can't still do the same things, but you're still a blessing, and you are still blessing others in so many ways because of your love for Jesus, his kindness that he showed every single person, his generosity, his love, the love that you all share, his words of affirmations to others. I couldn't tell you how many times I've never, in 1 year of work at that church, I have heard that Jesus loves me more from Alex than the other 13 years combined. Man, Alex, sometimes I need that. And he brought it to me. What a blessing. And Mary is called a blessing because God favors her. Mary's not a rich person. She's not particularly powerful. She's not strong in any certain way. She's unmarried. And here she is tasked with carrying the Christ child. She is from an area that's looked down on. As it is spoken in John, nothing good comes from Nazareth and Galilee. That's where Mary comes from. That's where Jesus comes from. So think of an area for yourself that you don't want to go down there. You don't want to go to that side of the town. You don't want to go to that place in the country. You don't want to go to that place in the world. Whatever that area is, that may be exactly where the Christ child lays. That's what they were thinking at that time. Nothing good can come from this. She is an unlikely person to be called upon by God. So let's look at this moment. In this moment, the angel Gabriel appears. And reading this section away from the context of the entire first chapter, we think that maybe Gabriel's appearance is something new, but he had already appeared to the priest Zechariah to announce to the birth of John the Baptist and Elizabeth being pregnant. So the people knowing this story would have already been familiar with Gabriel. And yes, Mary and Elizabeth are related. They're cousins, which, yes, makes Jesus and John related, if you didn't know that. And also in about 400 years, Gabriel will show up to the prophet Muhammad and give Muhammad his vision. Gabriel crosses these boundaries on behalf of God. He works on behalf of God. But a little side note about angels, something about angels. Angels come from the Greek word angelos or angelos. I can't really say it right, but it means messenger. And not all angels were spoken about well. Paul had some harsh words for them, but they were understood to be free creatures who could choose to work for or against God. They sound a little bit like us. And every time an angel appears, it is followed by, do not be afraid. Like, I'm curious what they look like. Now, there's some biblical descriptions of angels, and it's nothing like what you think it is. But they obviously must be some kind of scary or intimidating creature. So Mary's taken back. Whoa, don't be afraid, Mary. It's just Gabriel. This came from nowhere. It's fine. And this conversation between Gabriel and her, she can't understand how she's going to carry this child. Like, how you say, I'm going to carry this child? Like, I'm a virgin. How? I'm not even married. And Gabriel explains to her, here's how this is going to happen. Now, I think at times, this is where I'll criticize progressives like myself in reading this scripture, is they make it seem like Mary doesn't give consent to God to carry the Christ child, but she does. Because after Gabriel explains how this is going to happen, Mary says, here am I. All right, here am I. I don't know how an unwed virgin individual from an area of town that nobody thinks anything good comes from is going to carry this Christ child and somehow be safe for her. In that day and age, that would have been very dangerous. She probably would have been put on the outside of the community with no protection. I mean, we see what happens to the woman who's going to be stoned for committing adultery, even though she's the unmarried one. So this is dangerous, but Mary's like, here am I, God, I'll do it. And the prophet Isaiah, who we read a lot during Advent, echoed the same words when God asked who would go forward for him. Isaiah said, here am I, send me. So Isaiah's faithfulness to God was on display, and so is Mary's. Neither knows what's to become of their stories, but they're willing to answer the call of God. They're faithful. They're courageous. They're going to trust God. But Mary and Elizabeth's pregnancies couldn't be any more different. Elizabeth gets to celebrate hers. She gets to have the baby shower. She gets to tell the whole community. They get to be excited for her, but Mary got to keep it quiet. Mary can't say how this happened. Mary can't celebrate her pregnancy. Mary is going to be in danger from this moment on, and we will learn just how dangerous it is for Mary and for Jesus. But God is with her, and God is going to bless her, and God is going to keep her. Mary's story starts with blessedness, and so does ours. From the time that we are put on this earth, we are blessed because God knows our name, and that it comes from the prophet Isaiah. And in these moments of doubt that Mary has, that Jesus will have, because Jesus will have these doubts even throughout his life, like, how can I do this thing? You know, this is a struggle, this is hard, this is tough. How will this happen? It will be God that will provide reassurance. Sometimes through others who walk the journey and the path with us, who carry the cross for us. But God can show up for you as well if we don't turn away and we give God that opportunity. This is a time of preparation, preparing ourselves, preparing our table, creating space for God in our lives. If Isaiah looked around when God asked, who is for me? And he said, well, I don't know. I'm not answering this one. God would be like, okay, cool. I'll go find somebody else. And we'd be talking about the prophet Bob and not the prophet Isaiah. We'd be talking about Barb and not Mary if Mary said no. But they didn't. They said yes. And their story is told as a story of hope for all of us for eternity. She can find her guidance and safety in God. She can receive courage and strength through God, the same as we can. And so can we when we invite God to our table and into our lives, when we turn towards the divine and not away from the divine. We can do this when we have moments of similar struggles and doubts. So as we begin the Advent journey, stay encouraged, stay hopeful, stay joyous. Find peace. Celebrate this time. Even amidst the busyness, look for the blessedness around you. Look for it in the people that are with you all the time. Don't be afraid to share those good words. We have cards in our narthex, these little cards you pick up on the table. They're blessed cards that you can write notes to people. Grab as many as you want. Create your own. Send cards. But think of some people during these next 4 weeks that have blessed you, that you see God through them. Write them a note. Make a phone call. Send a text. Don't wait. Use these words of affirmation and love as we do this journey of Advent together. And while you do that, remember that you are a blessing and that you are also loved by God. Amen.